Everyone, happy Sunday to you. You made it. Well, you made it through a weekend. That's not that hard to do. But anyway, want to say happy Sunday to you. Hope you're enjoying this summer-like weather that we've had. It's region weather meteorologist Matt Wentz. Almost forgot what station I was working for a second. This is region weather, everybody. I'm ready for bed. Can you tell on this morning news routine that I'm on? This is definitely bedtime. Want to say hello to Mary. She was our early bird here tonight. Good evening to you, Jeff. What a beautiful weekend is right. Boy, we couldn't have gotten a better summer-like weekend in here, albeit it was a little bit hot. I'm getting pickier as I get older. I think it's a little too hot all the time. But either way, it was just wonderful. Good pool, beach weekend. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Maybe you're heading over to the fair. Certainly was great for that as well. Darlene, hi. Thanks for joining us on YouTube. Susan, you as well. I appreciate you guys joining us on our YouTube channel. Derek, doing well. How are you doing, buddy? Susan's with us. Other Susan. Hello, Susan. Both of you. Carol, hello to you. Good steamy evening to you, Deborah. Amanda's with us as well. I appreciate that. I really appreciate you spending your time with me here. And Kathy says it was a hot one. It certainly was, Kathy. All right, let's thank our sponsors briefly here. They keep the show for free. They're awesome. FBI Buildings. Guys, if you have a pole barn or you're looking to maybe construct a pole barn, whether it be for commercial purposes, residential commercials purposes, it doesn't matter. I've got a place that does that for you, and they do a great job. FBIbuildings.com. They've been constructing pole barns and fixing ones that they didn't even build. They will renovate them and restore them to make them look like brand new. And they've been doing it all over the Midwest. They've done over 20,000 across the Midwest. You should see their gallery that they have on their website. It's amazing. Some of the work they do just blows my mind, people's art forms. But anyway, if you need any of that done, a new bull barn, or perhaps you want to get it reconstructed and renovated, FBIbuildings.com is the place to go. Navigating the world of healthcare and life insurance and Medicare and all the new rules and laws that go into effect. That's a mess, all right? But thankfully, someone knows exactly how to do it here in Northwest Indiana, and he's been doing it for decades. Michael Minogue at minogue.life, that's the website, minogue.life. He will give you a consultation and help you understand exactly what you need in terms of Medicare, Medicaid, and most importantly, life insurance. People need life insurance, but how much do you need in coverage? That is the big question. Michael will figure that out for you. He can save you hundreds of dollars if you're paying too much. Again, minogue.life, the place to go. PSA, those are our public service adjusters. A lot of you have written in saying with these last storms we had a couple weeks ago with the Dre Show that you use them and you love them so far. Some of your claims are still going because of your insurance companies. I know mine likes to drag their feet on stuff as well. But what PSA does, they come in. If you have an insurance claim on your property, whatever it happens to be, you go to PSA first. It's publicserviceadjusting.com. There you'll be put in touch with a local licensed insured adjuster. They're all wonderful people that have families here in Northwest Indiana, and they're great to work with. But what they'll do is they'll take your claim, they'll come take pictures, they'll do all the work, and they'll be kind of the go-between between you and insurance company, so you don't have to do anything. They'll handle all the work for you, all the submission of papers and all that stuff, and they'll get you more money than what your insurance company will give you. They almost guarantee that. They don't quite guarantee that, but I'm telling you, 9 times out of 10, that's what happens, and everyone wins. Again, it's publicserviceadjusting.com. Ewing MECH is the place to go if you need HVAC work, especially AC season. It's been ultra muggy last couple weeks, right? If that AC is not in full working order, EwingMECH.com is the place to go. Ewing Mechanical Services, they've been doing all sorts of HVAC work, furnaces, but they specialize obviously in ACs this time of year. If you need a tune-up, $69. That's it. That's how much it costs. They'll clean it up, make it like new. It'll be blowing out the coldest air you could possibly imagine. Again, EwingMECH.com, place to go there. TigerPlumbing.net. Those are our lovely plumbers here in Northwest Indiana. They've been with us for over 2 years. That just blows my mind. We love them. They love us. They are just wonderful plumbers that come out for free. If you have anything dripping where it's not supposed to, tigerplumbing.net is a place to go. Finally, Grieger's Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Valparaiso. They've been serving Northwest Indiana for a long time as well, right on US 30 there. They've got great new specials now on Dodge Rams. How about that? They also have great Jeeps as well. I like the Jeeps personally, but either way, place to go for your next car, Grieger's Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Valparaiso. All right, let's dive into the forecast, shall we? Thanks for letting me get through those, by the way. All right, here's the big picture right now. We've got a very active weather map here for early August, right? Tropics get going this time of year. Peak tropical season with the number of systems is usually late August through mid-September. If we have to hone in on that, it's really early to mid-September. That is the busiest time in the tropical world because the waters are the warmest, all right, because we've warmed up all summer. So we're getting into active tropical season. And we have, once you know, a tropical storm down in the Gulf of Mexico. This is going to become a hurricane. So if you haven't been catching up with the weather, that's my job, is to catch you up. This will be national news. It already is, but it will be tonight, tomorrow, and really over the course of the next couple of days. As this is Tropical Storm Debbie, it will become a hurricane. It's expected to. I'm pretty sure it will here over the next couple hours before it makes landfall in Florida. Not a huge storm in terms of wind, but the big impact with that is going to be the rain. And I'll show you here in a second, because Debbie, much like Harvey did back in Texas and Houston, Debbie's going to slow down and sit. And that rain is not normal rain. That's tropical rain. So they're dealing with just crazy amounts of rain in a hurry, like 1 to 2 inches an hour. And they're getting several hours of rain across Florida. And that will stretch into areas of southwestern or southeastern Georgia and the Carolinas as well. So I'll take you through that. For us here locally, we actually had a few pop-up thunderstorms today, just east of us, just east of Stark County. We saw a couple pops on radar. You probably saw some of the thunderheads with the clearing skies. Right now, we've got an end to those. That was on basically a temperature gradient that we had set up, and we just had some pops. I mean, that's what happens this time. The radar is never clean with the humidity, but we have some high clouds working in right now. You can see those up overhead. Those are off of what's coming next up in Minnesota, and you can see this. This is our next weather player moving in. You see this pretty fast motion to the radar coming out of the northwest. There's a big ridge here, as you'd expect with that heat, and there's a frontal boundary off towards the north. Both of those will likely trigger some storms here this evening off towards our north. And the big question is, do those move in? So I'll kind of show you first things first. Let's head down to Florida. I'm going to make this brief. This is interesting weather, yes, but I want to stick to local. I want to make that very clear that the local forecast here in Northwest Indiana is the most important. But I do want you to have the information on Debbie, because it's kind of neat to see a hurricane on satellite and stuff like that, right? Not neat if you're in Florida. All right, so center circulation still offshore. My wife and I vacation in a place called Cedar Key. It's right on the Big Bend right here. Really is in the middle of nowhere. There's not a lot of population in this part. They call it the Big Bend of Florida. There's not a ton of population there, but there's some cool spots, and Cedar Key is one of those. This storm is going to make a churn off towards the north and east and eventually curve just north of Cedar Key, south of Tallahassee. But remember, the center impact, that little dot that you see in the track that you see in hurricanes and tropical storms, that's the center of circulation. Remember, storms aren't confined to the center. They're wide-reaching, right? So all the impacts are being felt across the entire state of Florida, exception being the Panhandle not really getting in it yet. But they've got a lot of heavy rain across areas of central and even southern Florida. So that's where the impacts are with some of the flooding. Here's the expected track, expected to become a hurricane, make landfall sometime tomorrow, likely late morning and early afternoon. And then look at this path. It just slows down and kind of meanders right around Georgia and South Carolina to the point that by Friday, it's only in South Carolina. It's barely going to move. You could walk that fast. If you were to start walking right now from where that center of circulation is, you could probably beat Debbie to South Carolina. That's how crazy this is. And as you know, that moisture is not going to go anywhere with this tropical system. So I want to show you kind of what it looks like on Futurecast here. Just look at the outer bands, the rain, heavy waves of rain. There's a tornado threat in Florida as well. That east right front quadrant usually has quick spin up tornadoes with it. It has the most shear in it. Here's that center of circulation, perhaps becoming an eye as it makes landfall in the Panhandle there. And then it just sits. Look at this. This is Tuesday now. This is Wednesday. This thing's not moving, with heavy rain and flooding from Savannah up towards Charleston. A lot of you may have vacation trips that go down there. Perhaps you're trying to squeak in something just before school, going to the Outer Banks or maybe going to Myrtle Beach. This is impacting a lot of folks in the southeastern United States, and unfortunately, a lot of them are vacationers. In terms of rainfall, this is a major deal. Look at the rainfall expectation from this, anywhere from 5 to 10, even I've seen reports of 16 to 20 inches of rain expected from this as it just sits. But there's the impact. They're going to go from areas that get 5 to 10 inches of rain to nothing in a matter of miles in Georgia. That's how sharp the cutoff is. But thankfully, we're not forecasting for them down there. So there's that is off our plate. That's the good news. All right. Well, this has completely gone away in terms of storm chance. So let me pull that back up. this is kind of where I want to transition in terms of the forecast. Is we do have a severe weather threat tomorrow. All right. And the Storm Prediction Center, you can see kind of how this is outlined here. The main risk is for the damaging winds as we go throughout the day tomorrow. And there is a small risk for tornadoes, but I don't see it here in the region. All right. Our dynamics atmospherically are not set up for tornadoes tomorrow. Is there a chance? Sure. But I really think it's going to be confined to areas north and west of us. There's just more shear there. This is the wind damage possibility, which is the highest thing out of the two. And then there is a hail risk. It's not real high, but it's there. So either way, here you go. Severe weather threat. That starts tomorrow, really in the morning, goes all the way through the evening into the overnight tomorrow. Okay. 2 waves. So I want to show you kind of how that evolves. This is a really tricky forecast. Models are notoriously bad at this kind of setup. We mentioned that last week. Anything coming out of the Northwest, they just don't have a handle on it. They don't develop the cold pool with storm systems very well. And in this one, they're not really developing initiation evenly across the board. And so it's just a storm chance at this point. All right. It's not guaranteed that we're going to get rain out of this or severe weather, but the chance is there. The atmosphere is certainly structured to produce severe weather, and that would be damaging wind. So let's look at it. So here's the activity tonight. Nothing doing, although that atmosphere is ready to pop north and west of us. And then what the HR's been doing has been developing some storms that could be strong to severe tomorrow morning. This is like morning rush hour. All right. This is not guaranteed, but it's been pretty consistent with this recently. I have a feeling, and I'm just going to go ahead and say this. I have a feeling with most of this event, tomorrow morning, and then again tomorrow afternoon, evening, into tomorrow night, I kind of have a feeling most of the action is going to be up towards Wisconsin and northern Illinois. All right. I don't know how much of this involves us here locally in the region. We're going to need to keep our eye on it. All right. And we need to prepare for the fact that we might get some stronger thunderstorms around here tomorrow. But I just have a hunch most of it's going to stay to the north. We'll see. All right. I could be completely wrong. But the HRR develops some action tonight, like early morning hours, 2-3 in Wisconsin, and it brings that down tomorrow morning for the rush hour. Some of those storms would be on the stronger side. This is not derecho that we had a couple weeks ago. These are just stronger thunderstorm potential. All right. Heavy rain with any of these that move through. Most of the modeling dries us out as we go throughout the day. As that kind of fades, we heat up again. You kind of know how this goes, right? We heat up again in the afternoon. We get a nice southwest flow. Here comes the front. And, where do storms develop along this front? It's going to be kind of a quasi messed up boundary. It's not going to be a clear defined front. And so we may pop storms here. The front kind of goes back up here. So it's not a clear sweep of the front. And it really doesn't get through here until Tuesday. And you can see how most of that action's towards our north and most of the modeling. And so in terms of storm chances, there's not a lot of really high storm chances, but any of the storms that either clip us or move through Northwest Indiana, I mean, look how close they are. Any of those storms could be on the strong to severe side, all right? Because we are warm and juicy outside. That's just the way it is right now. And that all changes. Once we get to Tuesday night on into Wednesday, we're finally going to kick out this humidity. We're going to get a nice 3-day break from it before it comes back. But we've got a really nice end of the week in terms of the forecasts, in terms of humidity wise, right? So let's take you through kind of long term. We'll go a little bit longer on that. This is the Euro. It has those storms developing tonight into tomorrow morning as well. We'll keep an eye on that. They may develop tomorrow morning and move in midday. It's just impossible to tell at this point. So I would broad brush it with scattered storms tomorrow. All right. Could be something that we deal with early in the morning. Could also be something we deal with in the afternoon. All right. Just plan for some scattered storms. A lot of hours that are going to be dry in between. And then the Euro doesn't really bring much of that second hit through. And this is why I think most of the action is going to be up towards Wisconsin border, is because when we have a tropical system, and I've said this before, tropical systems are really strong areas of low pressure, right? And they kind of rule the atmosphere. And so Debbie is going to be slowing down because we've got a frontal boundary. So Debbie would kind of head on off, the East Coast if there was nothing getting in her way. But this front is coming down. So Debbie's coming up, front is coming down out of the Great Lakes. And so that kind of pushes on Debbie and says, whoa, wait, I got to wait. And she slows down, right? Well, the other problem is that this is such a strong area of low pressure, Debbie is, that things kind of wait for her as well. They wait for those low pressures. And so tropical systems tend to stop all the weather that's happening until it goes through because it rules the atmosphere at that time because it's the biggest low, right? And so both are going to be kind of interacting with each other. And it's really interesting because This frontal boundary, I think if Debbie was there, I think we'd get a decent, strong front through here with some storms tomorrow and into Tuesday. But the problem that Debbie's causing is that these models are bringing a lot of it too far south, I think. And I think they'll stay further to the north. So all that's the long version of saying I think most of the action is going to stay to our north with this frontal boundary. All right. And that's the reason why. I always like to explain the reason why behind everything. So either way, all right, we may get a storm in here on Tuesday as the front goes by. By Wednesday, we're settling to just a beautiful high pressure across the Great Lakes. You can see Debbie still hanging out somewhere in the Carolinas. They have a pretty bad drought, in fact, extreme drought in a portion of South Carolina. So this rain's very beneficial for them. Problem is when you have a drought, that rain, once it hits, the ground acts like concrete at first. It doesn't soak it in. And so they are going to have a lot of flooding issues down there. But they could use the rain if we had a bright spot in all this. We stay dry Wednesday. We stay dry Thursday. We stay dry Friday. Here's Debbie still doing her thing in the Carolinas on Friday. If that heads west towards the mountains, that could be problematic for the Blue Ridge Mountains. We'll see what happens. We're still dry on Friday. And then once Debbie goes away and heads on out, now our weather pattern can start moving again. Here you go. We're on into Saturday. Looks good as of now. Sunday, I'd probably put a rain chance in there. And then by Monday, there's some kind of frontal boundary coming in here. All right. What that frontal boundary next week's going to do is keep our temperatures from getting out of control. It's going to keep our humidity from getting out of control. And it's going to keep us pretty seasonal. So that's that. The one thing that we do need is rain. And I know a lot of you have talked about it. A lot of you say, Tom, I see your comment says no rain for Tuesday National Night Out, which let's keep it dry. I think most of the action should be out of here by then, Tom. So it does look good for National Night Out. But in terms of the rain, a lot of our gardens could use it, right? This is how much rain has fallen the last 7 days, the last week. There has been a lot of rain, and a lot of, not a lot of you, I think I got one comment, which I totally welcome, on the rainfall last week. We were calling for rain chances a lot of the days last week, and we ended up not getting much here in the region. Well, try to forecast this. Almost everywhere around us got anywhere from 1 to 2 inches of rain. All right. Look where the hole is, right over the counties that region weather forecasts for. Isn't that crazy? We literally have like a donut hole right here in the region where we saw some rain, but we didn't see much rain last week, and they got slammed. This was that pattern we were getting into with that ring of fire pattern. And here's where that ring ended up, 4 to 5 inches down in Kentucky. I mean, that narrowly missed us, but I did not foresee a big donut hole opening up over the region in terms of no rain. So we did get some, but yeah, we could use more, right? It's been fairly dry. And if we go over the last 30 days, this is the anomaly, or how far off from average we are. Notice we're sitting okay here in the region because of that derecho that went through. But if I take that down to 14 days, which is not including the derecho that moved through, you notice we're looking much drier here in the region. Let me switch to the right map. We're looking much drier in the region. In fact, these brown colors show that we're running anywhere from 1 to 2 inches below average for the last 2 weeks. All right. And that's a lot. And that tells you how much you need to be watering and how much our farmers need to water and all that. So that's certainly what we've been dealing with, some dry weather here, whereas areas around us have seen a lot of rain over the last couple of weeks. So we could certainly use it. Problem is, we're not going to get it. If we don't get it tomorrow, we don't get it on Tuesday, we're not going to get it for a while. It does look pretty dry all the way through next week. But the good news is that temperatures don't get out of control. We stay right near average. We could easily have a stretch of 5 or 6 days in the 90s this time of year, and we don't have it. We have temperatures that are going to kind of flatline right near 80. And remember, to tell what the humidity is doing, you look at the overnight lows. And so, yes, still humid here over the next 2 days, Monday, Tuesday. Once that front goes through, we have lows in the 60s and maybe even some upper 50s in spots. That tells you you've got nice humidity, all right? Nice low dry air, because dry air heats up quickly and it cools down quickly, and it'll be cooling down quickly here at night, both waking up Wednesday morning, Thursday morning, and Friday morning. And then on to the weekend, it's manageable. That's not a bad forecast. Low 80s and 60s for lows. That's great if you ask me, and we're going to have lots of sunshine with that as well. Okay. All right. That's all I have for you tonight. So go ahead and ask your questions. If you guys have any questions, be happy to answer those for you. And then you guys can all go to bed, because I'm sure you go to bed at 8:30 or 7:30 here on a Sunday night. Oh, wait, that's me. I have to go to bed. There's that. Let's see. So yeah, Pearl, you're welcome. Debbie, good evening to you. Kristen says, any rain coming here? Boy, you know what we were going to talk about on the show there, Kristen. Yeah, so our rain chances would be again tomorrow and then Tuesday, very slim chance. It's not a real good chance for any of this, really. It's really not. Brenda, I appreciate your comment on this. Mike helped my brother get insurance. I was happy to know who to call because of region weather. That Brenda, that's awesome. And again, any of the sponsors you see above me, guys, I put my name on it. I know all of them personally. We've had sponsors that have tried to or that wanted to sponsor the show. And I don't want to say I vet them, but if they're not a good fit for the show, or I'm not feeling the business, or the reviews aren't good online, I've turned some sponsors down, and I do that for you guys. I really do, because I'm not going to put my name and the Region Weather brand behind sponsors that aren't good. And so I highly recommend everyone that you see up above me, because they do great work and 5-star reviews, and they're all local here to Northwest Indiana. So that Vincent, I love your song. Rock You. I would do that. I'm not going to, though. Very good. Yeah, Donna, for sure. I know. So we saw that Fort Wayne's gotten more rain the last week or so, but they had the pop-ups today as well. And those were not forecasted. Thank goodness it was outside of region weather territory, but the forecast was for sunny skies, and some of the temperatures got like a degree or two above where they were forecasted today. And you say, well, so what? It was 90 versus 88. That matters when you have a lot of moisture up above, which we still kind of do. Because that can, when there's a cap on the atmosphere, or when there's something called a convective temperature, when that gets reached, when it's not expected to reach, clouds start to develop. And those clouds can produce rain, which they do this time of year. So really interesting to see kind of how temperatures overachieved out near Fort Wayne today. And as a result, there's some rain popped, and it wasn't supposed to pop. So there's that. Stephen, no problem. I appreciate you joining in general. So thank you. Mary's ready for fall temps. American Man, I do appreciate you joining us on our YouTube channel. Yeah, technology's changed obviously since Katrina, right? And I think a lot of these live broadcasts, I'm obviously not the only one that does them, but a lot of them, I don't want to say this like sounding like, oh, look at us, but like my goal as a meteorologist is to make sure everyone's safe. All right. When I was a chief meteorologist down in Georgia, we had, I think I had a tally like 62 tornadoes or something like that in my 3 years I spent down in NBC down there, and not one loss of life. And that is my goal, is to keep people safe through severe weather. That should be every meteorologist's goal. Unfortunately, some of them are about likes and, popularity and stuff like that. I could care less about social media channels. I could care less how many people like regionweather.com or like the website. What I care about is that the word gets out to keep people safe during severe weather. And man, wouldn't that have been something if we had this kind of capability during Katrina or some of the big events back in the day? No doubt in my mind, it would have saved lives for sure. Vince, you're welcome. Thank you for your nice words. I appreciate that. Yeah. Prayers for our brothers and sisters, Florida, Georgia, and the Carolinas for sure. They're going to be dealing with some flooding down there. And it's going to be, I'm sure a lot of people are going to ride out that storm because there's not a lot of wind with it. Unfortunately, flooding is one of the bigger threats from these storms, right? And a lot of people don't realize that. And it would be tough to leave your home if you know you're not going to have wind damage, but there's a chance of some flooding. I mean, I probably wouldn't leave if there's a flood risk. I'd say, it won't affect me. We're high up, whatever it happens to be. I just have a feeling there's going to be some issues next couple of days from all that. Yeah, Heather, for sure. I see that. Yeah, Susan's lawn is burnt. That's great. Ashley, have a great night. Thanks for coming in. I appreciate that. Kevin, yeah, that was interesting. The rain with the Hall of Fame game for sure. That's that's in my forecast area. We were calling for that. Canton's in our DMA here, and I watched that downpour come in. I was a line of downpours. I'm like, this isn't going to happen. I thought they'd wait it out, but it's Hall of Fame game. It's not that big of a deal. More importantly, what do we think of the White Sox? My goodness, 20 straight losses, going for the American League record tomorrow. I think it's tomorrow. But they're playing Oakland. Oakland stinks. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But man, White Sox need to just clean out that team and start over again. Iron Jim, I appreciate that. I appreciate you. You've always been a good supporter. I appreciate that for sure. Maxwell, no, I don't. That's interesting though. He says, you think the Ring of Fire pattern's done for the year? It does tend to wind down in August. So there's that. But I think we've got probably maybe one more out of this, one or two more. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I don't think we're done with that pattern yet. I really don't. It's going to back off for a little bit, right? And it's interesting because we are getting into more frontal boundary territory. All right, ring of fire pattern isn't really a front; it's a temperature difference essentially, and mixed with the jet stream. But we're starting to get more fronts. Like this front coming through is really the first front we've had in a week and a half. And for those of you that aren't, glued into the weather and history and how things go in terms of seasonally, fronts and all the cold air, warm air interaction goes up to Canada this time of year. That's usually where the jet stream is. That's where they get cold fronts, where it gets hot and then it gets cooler, hot and cooler. For us here in the lower 48, especially in the region, we tend to just stay kind of warm this time of year, and there's not really a big temperature difference. There's no frontal boundaries that go through. And we're going to get a frontal boundary tomorrow night into Tuesday, and it kind of, we'll start to see more fronts as we get later into August, into September, and we'll start to see more drastic temperature changes as well. But it's interesting because fronts go away for a little bit and it's kind of quiet. You just get thunderstorms, and then we start to get this active pattern again. And it's interesting. We are starting to get back into it. So there's that. Yeah, Adrian, I appreciate that. First of all, thank you to your husband for his service. But yeah, that's interesting. That happens all over the place. I mean, people don't listen to the advice, and some of it is on our side, not just as meteorologists, but National Weather Service, stuff like that. We all do a great job trying to warn people storms, but there's a lot of times storms don't happen the way that we forecast them to, right? And that's because it's not a perfect science. We can't get everything perfect. We're trying to predict the future. And a lot of times warnings get issued because something's capable of producing something, but it doesn't. And, I use the example of like a tornado warning. Like a lot of times, your county will be under a tornado warning, but you don't have a tornado, or a tornado doesn't form out of that. And a lot of people get numb to it. And that's my whole point, is that unfortunately, people get numb to hearing about warnings and hearing about, oh, you need to evacuate. I mean, a lot of those people had been through numerous hurricanes and tropical storms where they were told to get out and then everything was okay. They made it, right? And so that's a problem as well that these people have to face, is that they get numb to these warnings and they don't heed them as a result. So there's that. Oh, Debbie, thank you. Or Deborah, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Kim says Sox are worse than the Cubbies. I know what side you're on, Kim. That's great. Mark, thank you. I appreciate your kind words as always, buddy. That's interesting. Kevin, working in Granger, Indiana tomorrow morning to pour concrete. Kevin, I would not cancel. Here's the deal, because I think the odds that you're dry in Granger outweigh the odds that it would be raining tomorrow morning in Granger. So the models are depicting a line of storms comes across areas of Wisconsin, in that it clips Northwest Indiana. It would clip Granger as well, but then it would kind of dissipate. All right. The models are indicating that. I'm not 100% sure that they get it. All right. So I would put the chance of rain probably anywhere from 30 to 40%, which means you've got 60 to 70% chance that it's going to be dry tomorrow. All right. And I would love to tell you, if this was fall time, if this was springtime or wintertime, I could tell you when it's going to rain and how long it's going to rain for. Because it's summertime and we're dealing with pop-ups that are so random and they go wherever they want, I can't tell you that it's going to rain in Granger, Indiana at a certain time. All right. It just can't. No one can. Your phone app's going to say one thing, it's going to change it overnight. So that's just kind of how it goes. But I would probably do it if I were you. And again, that's just a suggestion. You don't have to take it. But I'm used to those high pressure forecasting moments like that, because we forecast rain delays for MLB and more importantly the Cleveland Guardians, and those are high pressure situations where it's like, how long is it going to rain, how heavy is it going to be, how disruptive is it going to be, and can we get this game in? So in terms of concrete pouring tomorrow morning, I would say go ahead and give it a shot, unless you can wait. If you can wait till Wednesday and you're not losing business or anything like that, then go ahead and do it. But I would go ahead and do it. I'm all about getting stuff done. So there's that. Mark, he says, missing your broadcast from the Lake County Fair. There's no one to tell us about what fried food to eat. Mark, you still remember that? Wow. Mark is referring to when I worked for Lakeshore Public Television as their chief meteorologist. we went to the Lake County Fair, and that was one of my favorite live shots. Was from Lake County Fair, and I had fried frog legs. And I remember during the live shot, I had them sitting on the two little legs hanging down, and we ate them on air, and that was fun, man. Those were. I just posted. I know a lot of you probably don't follow my my meteorologist page, but if you want a good time, meteorologist Matt Wins. It's on Facebook. You can look me up. I posted a picture that I found. Facebook memories came up from Lakeshore Public Television, and it was before the beard. I mean, I was young. I was so young, and I've gone back and watched one of those forecasts. I was so bad, you guys. There's just so much grace that needs to be given to new meteorologists because it was just bad. And I knew I was bad. I was like, I knew what good looked like because I would watch the Weather Channel and I'd watch Tom Skilling, and I knew, I don't know, I knew what a good meteorologist looked like, and I was trying to get there, but I couldn't because it's a tough skill to master. You just need to practice and all that. So anyway, Mark, thanks for bringing that up. I totally forgot about the fried frog legs. They had fried Oreos too. I mean, they still do, but this was back then. It was great. All right, Kevin, you're welcome. Cindy, you're welcome. Kathy, you're welcome as well. Dragon Cat, that's so funny. So yeah, that's Matt talking in the background, just talking everyone's ear off on a Sunday night. All right, I gotta let you guys go. Thank you so much for tuning in. So again, I'm doing the morning show tomorrow morning. I'll be up bright and early for you guys. And if there are any storms in Wisconsin, I'll put an update out. If there's nothing to worry about, then I'm not going to bother you guys. I'm not going to clog your Facebook feed or your email. Okay. So that's kind of how we'll go. And we'll guide you through it tomorrow. If there's any storms tomorrow evening, which I think that's probably the better chance, we'll keep you updated on that. I mean, obviously we're not going away. So we'll continue to keep you up on the latest in terms of models and what we're seeing. All right. All right, guys, have a wonderful Sunday evening. Thanks again. Again, I'm always humbled by you guys taking time out of your schedule to join me on these Sunday nights. So I look forward to it every single week. I hope you do too. All right, we'll talk again. Thanks.